This is our destiny. We about to lift our community so we can be all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world. All around the world, going all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world. All around the world, going all around the world. We building wealth, leaving legacy. This is our destiny. We about to lift our community so we can be all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world. All around the world, going all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world. All around the world, going all around the world. We building wealth, leaving legacy.
Evening. How is everyone? Welcome to Know Your Black History with me, Donna Jean, and my favorite guy, John Sanders. How are you, John?
I'm excellent. I'm so excited to be on the show tonight. SOS Show, the movement. I'm very enthusiastic about tonight.
Tonight, I am just like, it's been one of those days, but hey, we made it and I'm ready.
Absolutely.
The subject that we're going to dive into tonight is it's something that I had never heard of, and I'm from the South, and I don't even want to give it away yet because it was just like that excitement has just built up. It's just like a kid on Christmas Day or waiting on your birthday to turn, midnight. So that's just how excited I am about tonight's show.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take it all the way back to our roots. Like, these roots right here, they might need a little touch up or something. But
no, I think you look phenomenal.
Thank you.
You look absolutely phenomenal, especially when you talk about going back to our roots and just embracing, our authentic Africanness.
Yes. And hopefully, it looks like we're going to have a special guest tonight.
Absolutely.
I just got a little ding-a-ling-ling on my phone, and it looks as though we're going to have a special guest. Absolutely. So before I bring our special guest in, I'm going to tell the people a little bit about what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, you just click that.
So I was on Facebook. I found an article that someone had posted, and it was called the Igbo
tribe.
Igbo tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So this actually took place in Georgia. So for all the people that are in Georgia, and like I said, I was raised in Alabama, but I never heard of this. So Igbo tribe, and John will correct me every time I say it wrong. It was called the Igbo Landing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's a historic site at Dunbar Creek in St. Simon Island, which is in Georgia.
Yes.
So what actually occurred was in May of 1908. They were slaves they were being transported on a slave ship. So while they were on a slave ship, which I'm trying to find my picture of the slave ship, excuse me, because it's been one of those days, like I said.
Yeah. So
that's how they actually transported everybody during slavery. It wasn't like they came over, partying, having a good time on the boat. They were actually layered and rolled off, and that's how they traveled the entire journey. So just imagine being that close in that close proximity with someone for the months that it took the ship to leave from Africa and land in whatever part of the United States it landed in. I just that just did something to me as well. So they were on the ship. When they arrived in Georgia, they were there to be purchased by. So they were on one ship, which was called the Wanderer. They left the Wanderer once they were sold at auction. Which, this is the slave market, which that they actually sold slaves at this particular spot, which was very dehumanizing of them. So once they were sold, they would be transported by another postal vessel to their actual plantation. Well, this group of slaves, well, they were not slaves yet. They were intended to be slaves. They revolted. They took over the ship. They killed the captain and whoever else they were able to kill. But then instead of being enslaved themselves, they committed suicide by walking into the water, hand in hand, linked together. And they, I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm doing it all by myself. They literally walked until they were underwater and they drowned.
Wow.
And no, it wasn't just men. There were women as well as men that walked into the water. And this is a depiction that I found where they just all were clumped together to drown. They felt better drowning themselves than they did being enslaved. So that was some of the history of, and this is an actual picture of the Igbo at Dunbar Creek. That's actually there now in the state of Georgia. Are you okay, John?
Absolutely.
Okay. So tonight, the topic is serious. To me, it's very serious because I just couldn't fathom. I knew that slaves died en route on the vessels and they were thrown over once they were dead. But they made a pact with their chieftain and they walked into the water because they felt better. They would rather die than to come to a strange land and be enslaved. So that said a lot to me. That really said a lot to me. Like I said, I was excited about it, but at the same time, it's kind of like making chills go through my body because it's just something to make you think.
And this is a remarkable story, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this tonight because, and based on our research, I find it interesting that this story, we know that this story, when you made this statement, it makes chills go down your body. This is about empowerment and Black liberation. Black people were empowered enough to take their own lives rather than being the victims of white supremacy and destruction. I mean, that is such a tremendous story. And to see how in the state of Georgia, and even throughout the United States, this story is not incorporated into the fabric of our educational system, right? We don't know about this story. And I find it interesting how we're not being taught this, but this is a story that should liberate us and empower us to be resilient. This is a story of resilience and self-determination. And it's so important that we understand this story within its context. A lot of people don't know that the Igbo people are descendants of Nigeria, West Africa. So between Nigeria and Cameroon, you'll have a lot of people of Igbo tribe, and many African Americans are descendants of Igbo tribe, even here in Georgia, South Carolina area.
Yes.
But to see how these Igbo people were determined in such a way where they said, no, we're going to take our lives. You know what I mean? We're not going to be subjects, of dehumanization. We're not going to allow for people to determine our own destiny. That's not what living is. So this is a story that should be reiterated, a story that should be reinforced. This is something that we should glean from and learn from, and take that same spirit of determination so that we can get to the next level. So I'm very proud. I mean, it makes chills go down my body as well.
Yes. So, talking John, I'm actually calling because we do it where he would be on StreamYard with us, and we could only get him because of the connectivity. So, can you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's a brother by the name of So there's a brother by the name of Onye Dika Chikwu. It's pronounced Onye Dika Chikwu. That is an Igbo name, and we'll talk more about that later. But he is a dynamic Pan-African leader in his own right. He lives in Nigeria. He's never been to the United States, but his mission and his goal and his assignment is to build bridges between Black America and Africa. He works strategically with groups here in the United States to provide education to our community, right? Ensuring that our people are properly educated.
That's a picture of him right there.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon. Can you wait a minute? I lost it. Hold on. I'm going to call this back. Keep talking, John. I am him back.
Sure. Yes. So he works with communities. He works to organize communities. He's a young millennial. He's vibrant.
Okay, I have him.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. It's midnight here already, so I'd rather say good morning.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so he's saying good morning to us all. So can you, because I don't want to keep you on the phone because it is so late there for you, but I'm putting your picture up while you talk. Could you give us your thoughts on Igbo landing incident that took place here in the United States?
Okay. With a little of my own knowledge, naturally, the Igbo man is not the kind of person that could easily be subdued, by an external force. So it's been happening, there's been so many stories. They came to our place, to our land, and they took advantage of our hospitality, because we welcome people with open arms. So, they took advantage of it. They took some of our forefathers, they took some of them forcefully, and along the line, most of them, they realized where they were, what they were about to be, forced into. So they had no other option than to resist them. You understand?
Yes.
So so they needed to resist them by every means possible, and there was no other means they could do that other than to seize the ship, seize the ship and to overpower first there and drone them. So after droning them, they had no other thing to do because they know that if they should remain there, they will still be killed. You understand? So in order for them to do I call it, it's a kind of like protest. It's a kind of agitation or whatever it may be called. So they had to march down into the river and drown themselves. You know, that was the only way they could, they could free themselves by themselves. So that was the thing. It's a kind of a courageous step being taken. You understand? So that was how the whole thing came about.
Yes.
So that's it.
So because your people, oh, we keep losing him, but I'll call him back. John, can you continue to talk while I get him back on the?
Absolutely. And once again, his name is Onye Dikachikwu. He's an educator in Nigeria. And I have just such a tremendous respect for him because he is a representation of what the progressive Black millennial generation is doing, educating our people so that we are empowered. He does lots of organizing work. And again, he works to build those bridges. This is a story of not only empowerment, but it's a story that should inspire strategy. When he spoke about the Igbo people, and remember, many African Americans are Igbo descent, right? Many of us have Igbo people in our tribe, right? This story reminds us and should educate us in such a way where that spirit of determination, where we would rather die, we would rather. Yes. I know people talk about dying for what you believe in. Go for it.
Okay, I have him back on the phone.
Okay.
Talking to us from Nigeria. So if we lose connection, we just call him until.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Onye.
Yeah, Onye Dikachikwu.
Dikachikwu.
Yeah, you got it.
I got your name correct this time.
That's right.
And so could you tell us a little bit about Nigeria right now and how they feel about the things that your ancestors did?
Okay. Well, Nigeria is how do I put it? Nigeria is a country, with so many tribes, so many beliefs, so many cultures. We have diverse cultures here. We have so many. We have about 300 and something languages in Nigeria. Only that out of the 300 and something languages we have three major languages. The Hausa, the Yoruba, and the Igbo language.
Okay.
So I happen to come from the Igbo side.
Okay.
And the Igbo side is located in the southeast majorly. It's located in the southeast, but they are mainly, they are scattered all over the country. You can find them anywhere in the country, but they are mainly, they're indigenous to the southeast and some part of the south.
Okay.
Yeah. So, concerning the history, well, Nigeria is a good country. We have all the things, to make life better for the citizens. But the problem we have, the problem we face in Nigeria mostly is our politicians. But that is private. So coming to my own tribe,
Okay.
The name Nigeria was actually given to us by a colonial named Lord Luther during the British colonial era. So it wasn't Nigeria. Before Nigeria, there was an area called the site of Biafra.
Okay.
Before Nigeria, there was an area called the site of Biafra. That was predominantly the Igbo nation. If I would say, it's made up of some type of West African countries we have now. And before the invasion of the British, they came, took over. And in 1914, they had amalgamate the two regions, the two protectorates, the northern protectorate and the southern protectorate. So they now merged the two together and named them Nigeria. So that is why we now have the northern Nigeria and the south Nigeria now. So the southern Nigeria is made up of mainly Christians, while the northern is made up of mainly Muslims.
Okay.
So yeah. So long before, or do I say after the amalgamation, our past leaders then they started working towards achieving independence for the country.
Okay. So I have one quick. I don't mean to cut you off because of time. I just have one quick question. With the things that happened in Georgia, the mass suicide, your ancestors were prideful, and I commend them for taking a stand instead of being enslaved. They chose death. So that lets me know that you are from a very strong line, you have a strong lineage.
Yeah.
So what is your feeling on that actual event?
Well, actually, I don't really know. I can't really specify, how I feel about it. But yeah, the thing is, there is this kind of connection we used to feel about our fellow black people out there. Yeah, we know, and we can feel it.
Yes.
It is so that we are connected. You understand?
Yeah.
We are connected in so many ways. You understand? We are connected in so many ways because during those days, we had so many people from our side here that were being, transported over to that side.
Okay.
As a result of this trade and the rest of it. Yeah, I once had there was a friend of mine back then in Jamaica. So sometimes we would talk about the kind of food we eat. I noticed that we eat, but we eat almost the same thing.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. That is so true.
So I don't think there's any other food you need. You understand? So there's a strong connection between us. We know that and we can feel that. You understand?
So there is still a strong connection with the belief that you had.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, you know what? I thank you so much for staying up to be on the show, and we will be calling and contacting with you later.
No problem.
Okay. So you have a good night. So we're gonna wrap the show up in a few minutes. So because I just feel bad keeping you up so late. I do, but I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart from the SOS show. We appreciate you. And I'm going to have John say your name one last time.
Absolutely. So it's Onye Dikachukwu. That's Onye Dika.
Onye.
You got it. Onye Dikachukwu. That's a Igbo name.
Being in Nigeria to appear on the show. I hate that we couldn't get you live on screen now, but I put up the nicest picture of you that I could find. And I actually found one of you and your mom.
Yeah.
So that is showing right now as well. So we thank you. And I will call you tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow my time, later today your time. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right.
Have a great night.
Yeah.
Well, I guess morning technically for him.
Yeah, it's time for him to go to bed.
He's actually a night owl. Yeah.
Yeah. But
he said such a powerful.
Yeah, he arranged his schedule, and I could not put him on. I told him, I said, I'll bite the phone call and call you. Yeah. So
Yeah, but
it
this is
was
a
worth
dynamic.
it was worth it to get a thought from someone who has that direct family lineage to the slaves, the people that refused to become slaves. So that says a lot about people now standing strong on their principles on things.
This is very true, and I want to make sure we reinforce the fact that this is um, a story of not only just empowerment, but of resistance, the spirit of resistance.
Yes. You keep talking. I'm just putting up pictures so while you're talking.
Okay, sure, absolutely. So the story of resistance, the slaves that refuse, or they weren't slaves, but the evil people who refused to be subjected. They would rather take their lives than to be dehumanized. I mean, this is such a remarkable story, but if you listen to what he was saying, he was talking about the Nigerian government. And when you look at the government and the educational institutions, even in Nigeria, people are not being educated on stories like this because the educational system, the curriculum is still dominated by the white supremacist economic structure, even in Africa, right? So this is one of the reasons why we don't know about this, you know what I mean? And it's important for us to tell our stories so that we can have a better context. We can understand the power of Black resistance and what we, once we're determined, what we have the power to achieve.
Yes. Yes. And so what I did by doing research on this entire event was that not until 2012, September 2012, did a group of African Americans that lived there in Georgia. They had 75 people that were key components to this story. They all came from different states, as well as from Nigeria, Brazil, and Haiti. They took part in a 2-day ceremony. It wasn't a festival, but it was more a ceremony. And they actually, because they people always felt like that area was haunted because of the unsettled souls.
Yeah.
So they designated the site as holy ground, and so that they could lay those souls to rest. And now in the state of Georgia, but so now listen to this, only in the coastal areas of Georgia is the Igbo landing story being taught in the schools there now. So, I mean, it's a small step, but it's a step. I would wish it was taught in all schools throughout the United States and every other country. But, you know, you have to take baby steps, crawl before you can walk type thing.
And I completely agree with you, but I also believe that, and you make a valid point, one step at a time. But I do believe that the more we increase our consciousness, and this is why I'm so proud to be a part of the SOS family and the movement, the more that we educate ourselves and we elevate the level of consciousness. That's when we understand that we have the power, right? And the type of education that needs to be history that needs to be incorporated into the curriculum, that's determined by us. This is the reason why they say once we control our institutions, once we control our communities, that's where the power begins. We don't have to depend on the system to educate us. It's our responsibility to educate ourselves and push that agenda into the educational institution.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much history within the Black community that Blacks don't know about because of either it wasn't passed on through the family. Because I remember my grandfather used to sit and tell us things when we were kids, but it's my responsibility to pass those things on to my children, and for my boys to pass it on to their children, and
Mm-hmm.
to keep it going. But if you don't pass it on, it gets lost. The history gets lost. So when Big Mama talking and y'all think she's just talking, you need to pay attention. And a lot of people have started writing things down because of that. That's how you shape and find out what's pertinent. It might seem small when grandmama telling it, but years down the line, it might be something that that played a major part in history.
Absolutely. And
Go ahead.
no, you make a valuable point. And when you look at the Jewish American, the Jewish community, the global Jewish diaspora, when you look at the Jewish culture, that is the foundation of their society, their ecosystem. It's being able to take ownership of their history so that they can build a stronger future. And when you look at our community, there was always a systematic effort to cut us off from our history so that we wouldn't internalize our own spirit of resilience, So like you said, when Big Mama talks, we need to sit back and listen, because if we don't learn history, we're bound to repeat, the same mistakes of the past. But once we understand the powerful Igbo people, their spirit of determination, that's going to give us a greater context. And it's also important for us to know our own history. So when someone else comes to us and they tell us a lie, we can immediately cut that off and discern, and discriminate the difference between what's truth and what fallacy is.
Yeah.
So we take ownership.
I was thinking about the fact that, so we know that the Igbo tribe, they were from Nigeria, and they went to Georgia on slave ships. So in your family history, you might be able to trace line back farther than you think, because you know that your great grandparents were there in Georgia, or just say Virginia or North Carolina. No matter what state they came in through, if you trace it back far enough, I'm quite sure that it'll let you know just about what part of Africa you came in, because they certain slaves came into certain ports.
Absolutely.
So the waterway determine what waterway you came in through. But you have to be able to trace it back far enough to know if you can trace it back to what state they were in. They came in North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia,
Maryland, Maryland, and all the East coastal states. And
you will be able to really trace back and find out whether you're from Nigeria, whether you're from Ghana, whether you're from Sierra Leone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still don't tell you that I'm from.
I love it.
Blind hair. But I got the blind hair. Y'all believe it.
I love it. Thank God for technology. Thank God for the power of technology and the spirit of innovation, because now with technology, it takes out all the guesswork, right? So within a matter of weeks, you can take your DNA sample to an institution, African Ancestry, and get your genealogical results, and they can tell you specifically your tribe of origin. Now, we know that when we came here from Africa, a lot of these countries weren't necessarily established. These countries are, a lot of these barriers were created by the European power structure. So they created, like Nigeria, for example, was created by the European, Cameroon, all these countries. But before, there weren't any borders. But thankfully, with technology, they can take your DNA and they'll match our DNA to every African tribe on the continent, and they'll be able to inform you where you come from. And it's a really, really powerful tool that we can use, especially in a time when there are so many distractions trying to cut us off from our connection.
Yes,
so I'm really empowered by this story.
I love this one. I'm part Cherokee. I'm part 9 times out of 10. When you do those DNA tests, it determines and tells you whether or not you have whether you have African, European, Asian, Indian. It tells you all of those things. It deletes a lot of the controversy that families around and say, oh, our granddaddy he was Indian.
Absolutely, and you do have some of. Yeah, you do have some of that, but the reality is the overwhelming majority of actually African Americans are descendants of Africa. We have to establish that. We didn't come from outer space. We didn't come from the moon. We came from Africa through the slave trade. There are a lot of there are a lot of narratives that are out here that are distracting us from who we really are, and that's it's really dangerous, because when you disconnect a tree from its root, the tree dies. When you disconnect the lamp from the socket, the power is cut off. But once we understand that this history, this evil resistance.
Quiet on the set back there. Tell them I said quiet on the set.
Say it again.
Tell them I said quiet on the set.
Oh, you 1 second. Okay. My apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So once we understand that we can leverage this history to build those bridges, that's where global power comes in. That's how we create global Black power. It's understanding how to use these tools to our advantage, and history is a tool.
Yes. So you know what, John? I've enjoyed you tonight. I see your set is not gonna get quiet. So we're gonna bring it to an end, but we will be back with another great topic. I'm not sure what we're gonna talk about next week, but we'll be back.
And write in the comments. Yeah, they can actually write in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Comments. I've been asking people to, if they need help with the census, please fill out your census form. I'm going to say that one more time. Please fill out your census form, and because it your community. And it's 10 years that you're deciding if you decide not to do something now. So that is going to affect your community for the next 10 years until they do a census again. So that's why it is so important to take part in the census. Everybody can do the census. Everybody should be filling out their census form, especially if you receive any type of government funded anything, whether it be WIC, food stamp, just anything from the government. You need to be the main ones filling it out. Guess what? That's how you get funded. Right. And with that being said, I am going to let you enjoy the rest of your evening, John.
All right. Yes.
You're going to enjoy the rest of mine. I'm going home and go to bed because I am extremely tired. It's been a long week. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you on Southern Soul Saturday.
Nice.
It's with me again, Donna Jean, and I'll be interviewing Peter Jones. He's a Southern Soul blues artist. So I will see you guys on Saturday.
This is a great conversation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
You have a great night. All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.